Today we are making this beautiful lemon loaf cake at home. It's soft, it's moist, it's citrusy, it's refreshing. It's the perfect thing to have with your afternoon tea. It's a perfect thing to have as a light dessert with a dollop of cream. Add some berries in. So let's get straight into it. For this lemon loaf, we are using white caster sugar. Pop that into the bowl of your stand mixer. And then we are going in with the zest of a whole lemon. So just use a microplane and zest that straight into the sugar. Be careful not to get the white bits, just the yellow bits, because the white bits have a little bit of bitterness to it. You just want the yellow bits because that's where all the kind of lemony essential oils are. Grate all of that goodness and pop that right on top of your sugar. And then use clean hands and rub the lemon zest and the sugar together. This releases all of those essential oils and it helps to flavor your sugar, so you've got that lemon kind of in there from the very beginning. Oh, it's smelling so good, you guys. So citrusy and nice. You can do lemon, you can do orange. This is the basics of making a citrusy cake, so you can go in with whatever you like. In one of my previous episodes, I spoke about how important it is to have room temperature butter so that all of the ingredients mixes together beautifully. So that same concept applies to this. This has been sitting out of the fridge for about half an hour. It's nice and pliable. It's not cold to the touch. So let's add that in straight into our mixing bowl. To this, we are also going in with about half a teaspoon of salt, because salt always helps to enhance the flavor of your baked goods. And then just a little bit of vanilla bean paste, again just to add that extra depth of flavor. And now we crack eggs into a jug. I always use a knife to crack the eggs because I find that that's the best way to not get a lot of shells in your eggs. Whisk that up with a fork just to break up the egg yolks and to mix it through with the whites. At this point, preheat your oven to 170 degrees Celsius and let's get this batter going. We're using the paddle attachment for this. Get that mixing on a low speed just to combine everything. Once your butter and sugar have combined, then you can increase this to a medium-low and get that mixing for about 2 to 3 minutes so that the sugar starts to kind of melt into that butter. This has been mixing for about 3 minutes now. Just scrape the bowl down a little bit to make sure there are no clumps of sugar or butter left at the bottom, and then we can start adding in the eggs. This mixture is starting to look nice and pale and fluffy and beautiful. Add about the equivalent of half an egg in at a time. Let that nicely beat into the batter, and once it's incorporated through, then we add in another half an egg. Let it beat for about another minute or so in between each addition, just so that the sugar has time to really melt into this batter. Don't rush the process at this time, because I promise you, taking a little bit of extra time and patience and waiting in between each addition of egg will pay off with the softest, fluffiest, yummiest cake at the end. We've added about the equivalent of 2 eggs now. So let's just scrape the bowl down one more time before adding the rest of the egg, just to make sure everything is nicely getting mixed through. Touch a little bit of the batter between your fingertips and check if you feel any grains of sugar. If you do, then let it mix for about another minute or 2 minutes before adding in the rest of the egg. If you don't feel any grains of sugar, then you can just go ahead and add the rest of the egg now. This needs maybe about 2 minutes more. Increase the speed to a medium-high and then go in with the rest of the egg. Now that all of the egg has been incorporated into the batter and your wet ingredients are done, let's fold in the flour by hand. I prefer to fold the flour in by hand rather than just adding it in and letting it mix with the paddle attachment, because I feel that way it knocks out a lot of the air that we incorporated into the batter when beating up the eggs, sugar and butter together. We're going to sift the flour in straight into the wet batter. As always, I'm using cake flour and not all-purpose flour, because that also goes a long way, you guys, in getting that really nice texture for your cake. And then baking powder, just 1 teaspoon of baking powder straight into that. And then we sift this in straight into our mixing bowl. Use a rubber spatula and then just fold the flour into the wet ingredients. Don't forget to subscribe to Arubakes so that you don't miss out on any of these little tips and tricks that I'm showing you in this series, Aru's Baking Club. Slowly lift the batter up from the bottom like this and just bring it on top. Just keep doing this. Be very gentle, be very light-handed so that you don't knock out too much of the air. Just keep doing this until this batter comes together. You can see that it doesn't take a lot of time, especially for smaller quantities like this. Just make sure to scrape down any flour that's stuck to the sides of your bowl. And now at this point where pretty much all of the flour is incorporated, but there's just a little bit left, then you can be a little, a little less gentle and just give that a quick mix just to make sure there are no lumps of flour left at the bottom. And this is the kind of texture that we are looking for, where it still holds its shape, it's soft but not too runny. It falls off the spoon easily if you kind of give it a shake. And the other key thing is not to over mix this. This is now done, so let's pop this in our baking tray and pop it in the oven. Secure this baking paper onto the baking tray just to make sure it doesn't move around or fold into the cake batter while it's baking. So just take a little bit of the cake batter and then dab it on all 4 sides of this baking tray. This helps the baking paper to stick to the sides of the baking pan. Make sure it's nice and secure like this. And then these little ears, these little flaps that we've got, just a little bit more like that. And paste that down. Okay, this is nice and secure now. Just pop the batter into your baking tin like that. Scrape up every last bit of this delicious batter. And then we use the back of a spoon just to spread this out evenly. This is now ready to go in the oven at 170 Celsius and bake up until it's beautiful, golden and delicious. This has been in the oven now for 15 minutes. Ooh, it's starting to look beautiful, but it still needs to bake up for a little bit longer. Turn it around so that it gets an even bake and pop it back in the oven. While the cake is baking, let's make the syrup to soak this in. We are using the juice of 2 lemons. Pop that straight into a saucepan. We're going in with 2 tablespoons of sugar, 30 milliliters of water, pinch of salt. Stir this just to combine everything and let the sugar melt into the mixture. Heat it over a medium to low flame. Once it comes to a boil like this, kill the heat. It's okay that it's not a very syrupy consistency because we want this to soak into the cake, and let that cool down ever so slightly until your cake finishes baking. Our cake is done baking. It was in the oven for about 35 minutes. The best way to check if your cake is cooked through in the center is get yourself a toothpick or a skewer like that, pop it right in the middle, and if it comes out clean like this, then your cake is ready. If it doesn't, then it needs to bake for a little bit longer. Let this cool down for about 10 minutes so it's still slightly warm, but it's not like piping hot before we pour that beautiful glaze over this. Our glaze is also still slightly warm. Just pour that all over just so that it soaks up beautifully into this cake. That's going to really enhance the lemoniness of this cake. And then let that soak into that cake. Let it cool down just a little bit, just on the countertop. And then we will top this with a beautiful lemon glaze. The lemon glaze is super simple, you guys. It's just a matter of putting a couple of tablespoons of icing sugar. And when I say couple, I mean like 4 or 5. And I've got some hot water here. Teaspoon of warm water and a squeeze of lemon juice. Mix that together. And I want to go in with a little bit of vanilla just to kind of add that speckled vanilla bean look on top. So when it comes to a glaze, I always find you have to work with the kind of consistency that works for you. So you can just add a little bit more icing sugar or a little bit more warm water depending on how you like it, especially depending on if you're in a humid climate versus a dry climate. This kind of changes up a little bit. This is the kind of consistency that we are looking for, where it's runny, pourable, but not too runny. Let's pour that on top of our cake and then we get to slice into this beauty. Having this extra bit of baking paper, it makes it easier to pull the cake out. That's it. It's so easy, you guys. And let's pour this glaze over our lemon loaf now. Use your spatula and then just direct it where you want it to go. It doesn't have to cover the whole thing. It's just to kind of give it that finished look. Now, ideally, this should go in the fridge and chill for at least an hour so that all of those flavors really get to know each other and the cake has cooled down and it's beautiful. But I can't wait, you guys. I'm gonna slice into this right now. Oh, would you look at that? Oh my gosh, it looks so good. It's so soft in the middle. Oh, yum. Oh my god, that citrus hit. Wow, it's so refreshing. It's so light. Even though we've soaked this cake with the syrup, it still feels so light and delicious. That glaze on top just adds a little bit of extra sweetness to this. It is beautiful. It is perfect. Please make this. And don't forget to subscribe to Arubakes so that you don't miss out on any of these delicious bakes that I'm doing. Thanks for watching. Bye.